Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now, we've heard a lot about Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, but it doesn't seem to have been moving forwards in the direction that we would hope, with regards to contracts being signed, a date being announced, a venue given, so it's more concrete. We haven't had that just yet. We've heard a lot of 95% done, nearly 100% done, contracts are ready to be signed but not signed. We've heard a lot of that, and I think we all just want to know, is it the fight on or is it off? Is Usyk going to be fighting Joe Joyce for the WBO Interim World Championship? Or is Usyk going to get his shot at Anthony Joshua? Now, I've got a cup of tea, I wanted to talk about this, so who better to talk about it with than you guys? So let's talk about whether this fight will actually happen next, or whether it will be going in a different direction. Tyson Fury done an interview with MTK over the weekend because there was a boxing show, and he spoke about the fact that he's taking some time away from training. He's not necessarily bothered about boxing at the moment. He needs a break, mentally and physically. I actually think that that's a good idea because he doesn't want to necessarily burn himself out. That is something that also Anthony Joshua won't want to do. They will want to have an adequate camp for this fight. Training consistently and continuously between fights is extremely beneficial, but you have to be careful not to burn yourself out. So it's about taking over, making sure things are in check in between camps, but then they can start ramping it up. 3 months out from the fight, 12 weeks, 12-week camp, that's all they need to get into shape, as long as their weight is right going into that training camp. Now, the main point of focus recently has been Tyson Fury and his comments about the fight not being anywhere near close, and the possibility of a third fight with him and Wilder. He said if it's not AJ, then it will be Wilder, because that's the biggest fight for him after Anthony Joshua, and at the moment, maybe it is. Ruiz could be in there as well, Dillian White would be a bigger fight, but Wilder is definitely up there as one of the biggest fights for Tyson Fury to take, aside from Anthony Joshua. Now, the thing we do want to know is Tyson Fury telling the truth? Is the fight as far away as he says, considering what Eddie Hearn has spoken about, what Bob Arum has spoken about, and what Anthony Joshua has kind of alluded to? Joshua never said the fight was close. He just said that we'll be hearing from him very soon and things look good. Things are moving forwards. Now, whether that means a Tyson Fury fight or not, I guess we are left to make our own assumptions based off of what he has said. I wouldn't imagine it would be any moves towards, say, an Usyk fight, because he has been touted to fight Joe Joyce. If it does regard boxing, then of course it's going to be Tyson Fury. There are many who are saying Tyson Fury doesn't want the AJ fight, and that is why he is doing this. He's trying to wriggle his way out. I think that Tyson Fury is frustrated. I believe that he is frustrated in many different ways. Not just because of the Anthony Joshua fight negotiations being drawn out, but because of the fact he's been inactive. Over this weekend, he spoke about the fact that he has been inactive for an extremely long time. He was out of the ring for 3 years, then had a few fights in quick succession, 3 fights in 6 months to be factual. I mean, it was, Sefer Seferi, who was a cruiserweight? That was a sparring session, not even that. I mean, it was, I don't even know what to label that, but still, that was one fight, I guess you could call it. Then there was Pianeta, then Deontay Wilder. All within 6 months, so Tyson Fury was getting back active once again. Now he's been out of the ring for a year, and by the time June rolls around, that will be a year and 4 months, 16 months to be precise. That's a long time to spend out of the ring, especially considering Tyson Fury likes to remain active, and there are certain aspects of boxing that he relies on that does depend on him being active. His reflexes, his movement, his positioning, just little things that need to remain sharp for Tyson Fury that he will rely on, that also rely on him being active. Sparring is great. He said he sparred yesterday in that interview, but then he said he stopped training. So he is contradicting himself quite a bit. 1 minute he's talking about he stopped training. He said he's on 10, 12 pints of Stella a day. I mean, if that's true, then the guy can drink for sure. But I'm not necessarily believing that. In fact, I'm not necessarily believing it. I'm definitely not believing what Tyson Fury is saying. He's training, he's in shape. He's definitely not drinking that amount of alcohol during the day. He's not on Diet Cokes. He said he's cut out that. He's cut out social media as well, apparently. For Lent, I believe that is what he said in either the interview with IFL or Behind the Gloves. One or the other. I believe it could have been Behind the Gloves. So he's being healthy. He looks lean. And That is very important. Tyson Fury is training. He's not taking any time away. I mean, he might be taking things a little bit easier because perhaps negotiations are being drawn out. So therefore, he wants to have a proper 12-week camp and he doesn't want to burn out and peak too early because that is very important for these athletes as well, to make sure they peak at a certain point. He doesn't want that to happen too soon. Then he has to try and build himself back up. So maybe he is having a dip in training, but he is still training. Make no mistake about that. Again, what he said in that interview is completely contradicting himself. He said he's not training, he's taking a break. Then I sparred yesterday. That is exactly what he said during that interview. It's just a Tyson Fury being a Tyson Fury. I mean, he said it himself. If he tells the truth, no one believes him. If he doesn't tell the truth, they still don't believe him. So that kind of tells you that what he is trying to get across is it doesn't matter what he says. And majority of it could just be codswallop anyway. Tyson Fury gives me this vibe that he is a bit frustrated. And I mean, I get it. I think we're all frustrated. We want to see the Undisputed fight. We want to see it signed. We want to know when it's going to be, and that's it. We want to see when they get in the ring. We're not bothered about 95%, 90%. We just want to see the fight get over the line so we can finally see who is number one in this era of heavyweights. Something we've been waiting for since, when it was going to be Joshua Wilder. That was never going to happen, was it? This fight is going to be the closest we can ever get to Undisputed. The opportunity is now, with Usyk being forced to wait by the WBO, with the Wilder situation breaking down. We are led to believe, Tyson Fury even explained that he could still fight him. I don't think that that will be a contractual thing. I think that Tyson Fury is looking at that aside from the Joshua fight. If the Joshua fight doesn't happen, he will want Wilder. I don't believe that the contract will come into it. But hey, he said that, maybe he didn't mean it. Maybe that's just one of the times when he's not telling the truth, but we do believe him. Perhaps that's what it is. He might come out tomorrow and prove us all wrong. I'm not fighting Deontay Wilder ever again because of what he says. So we don't know what's next with Tyson Fury. I guess we just have to take it from the most reliable source we can. And do you know who that is? That is AJ himself, because AJ is not a part of the hype train. He'll tell everyone the truth, and if anything important is happening, he will let everyone know. So I guess if we look at it from that side, we've heard AJ say that some big news is coming soon, and we will be hearing from him, then maybe that is more of a reliable source than Tyson Fury. Definitely more reliable than Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, and Bob Arum, who are promoters and it is their job to build the hype. You cannot blame them for that, but that is what they are doing. By saying 90% done and 95% done, of course these questions come up in interviews and they have to answer them, but I don't want to hear if it's 95% done. I want to hear when it's 100% done. That is when we know that there is a fight on our hands. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that this fight is going to happen next, or do you believe that AJ and Fury will be going their separate ways? Guys, drop your thoughts on this in the comments below. Also leave a like and grab that subscribe button. Thanks guys.